Hello, and welcome back once more to Pathologic. Shall we continue? So, when we last left off, we were looking for where to head after visiting Anna Angel, and we let a butcher go after having had a wee chat with a lady that used to be named Ospina and has now been renamed to Aspiti. She felt the butcher was innocent. A little bit mad, perhaps, like most of the butchers in the termitary, but otherwise innocent. So that does leave us at something of a loss as to where to go next. I think I'm going to have another quick chat with younger Vlad, given that he effectively tried to make me do some dirty work. Dirty work which I guess I agreed to do, but nevertheless, it was on somewhat false pretenses. And I don't like that. So, as I wonder about the city, I'll probably be giving my various take on the game, life, the universe, and everything. And there are quite a few very interesting things I find about this game. The major thing is the atmosphere and the feel of it, and what ends up happening as you go. Yeah, I'm passing Vlad the Elder's house. Might as well stop by and say hello as well. But yes, the feel of it is the big thing. Unlike most other horror games, it doesn't rely on jump scares. It doesn't rely on quick, spooky things.
Fortune turns all things to the advantage of those on whom she smiles.
Yes, getting everything back on track won't be an easy task. How do you think Simon died? I don't think he was murdered. How could he who craved monocracy not perish? He couldn't, not in this place. Balance requires equilibrium, so Simon's course of action contradicted yours. Come now, what I'm saying is, when someone takes too much upon themselves, they always end up ground down. That's how life works. They say Simon was the one to bend the circumstances, not the other way around. No one seems to doubt that. Simon has lived a very long life, a very long. He was a worthy man. Long doesn't mean eternal, does it? No one is to blame for his death. Examine the body, you'll see for yourself. It just happened. The Canes won't let me examine the body. Well, that is temporary, a family tradition. He's not lying to you. He truly believes Simon was murdered. Were he to admit that Simon simply died of death, probably go to his last home himself. Shock would be too much for them. That's strange. Georgi Kane didn't appear sentimental to me. Still no real leads. South we go then. Speaking to Vlad the Younger. I'm not sure whether he'll be particularly pleased that I've let this butcher go. Potentially to cause him more trouble down the line. But, I can live with that. Another food shop. I don't think my coin really is high enough to justify more purchases just yet. But, we'll give it a little bit of time. Pop some water bottles. Steal some junk. The more hooks and things that we have, the better. Bandages are always handy too. Except this guy doesn't have any. What an asshole. So, let's see what we can steal. Not very much. Turns out that I probably have taken most of the stuff already. Onwards. So yes, big part of this game is the growing sense of a slightly more existential dread. Which is why it's slower. Weirder, but I would argue it's more interesting than your average 2-bit jump scare horror, as it were.
Katerina thinks Claire is a messenger from heaven. Yeah, right.
Vlad, now tell me, did Isadora visit you last night? Tell me the truth, please. Yes, Isadora did pay me a visit, but don't ask what we talked about. I have no right answer to share. No right to share that with you. Right. I'm going to ask you one more question now. Your answer will determine whether you and I become friends or enemies. Well then, I'd rather be your friend. Go ahead. What did you talk about? Tell me the truth, please. Isadora said... Note that I'm merely retelling it secondhand. He said that there's an epidemic in the steppe camps. An outbreak of tarbagan sickness. Perhaps the plague, that is. Father had issued an order to lock the termitary up to prevent the infection from getting in. And what are you so afraid of that you would conceal this? I don't understand. You did the right thing. There's an underlying sensitive family matter here. To cut a long story short, my father would kill me if he found out about this conversation. The unrest in the termitary, you see, well, I incited it to make my father lock it up. He didn't believe Isadora. I see. Now everything makes sense. What do you think was the cause of Simon Kane's death? Especially taking into account that the fact Isidore Burak had been his last visitor. We need to warn Ruben. It's very urgent. He's about to examine Simon as soon as the period of time is required by the Kanes passes, but where is he? I have no idea. Where is he staying? I don't know. There was a secret dissecting room in one of the warehouses, but no one knows where exactly. He used to live mostly in the steppe, sometimes sleeping in the termitary at Lara Ravel's shelter. But he's not there, I know that for sure. He went away to mourn his master. What would you have done if you were him? I'd wait for him at the Kanes. Simple. Perhaps that is where he is. Investigation of the double murder has introduced a few additional considerations. It's highly possible that Simon died of some unfamiliar disease. Stach Ruben, the town medic, should be warned at once. If he touches the body, he may contract whatever disease still remains there. Stach Ruben was Isidore Burak's understudy. More a quack than a proper doctor. Although perhaps that's merely my snobbery. Either way, Stach Ruben is a scientist of sorts, an ex-soldier, and a de facto doctor of the town. I wouldn't really say, though, that his contributions are necessarily always useful ones. Depending on, of course, who you are. For me, the Bachelor, I'm pretty sure that he actually is quite useful and quite good. Whoa! Oh no. So you can see here, these two guys are chasing that woman because they're still going on their witch hunts. They feel that she might be Shabna Kadir, and unfortunately, she's pretty likely to die. People don't run very fast in this game. If I kill them, though, then I will be killing innocent people. Can only hope that she gets away. But as you can see, the chaos is already beginning to unfurl. People are getting suspicious. People are getting scared, and when people get scared, they get paranoid, and when people get paranoid, they get exceptionally stupid. Most of the time, people aren't bad, they just make bad decisions. Hopefully I caught up to Ruben in time. And there's the polyhedron. Bizarre fucking thing. I think he might be with Victor. Oh, let's not get in the way of that. If I get punched, then I will get down fairly quickly. That's not going to go well. Ah, Ruben. Good to meet you.
Perfect valor is to do without witness what one would do before all the world.
Greetings, friend. I have heard news of your arrival. Everyone has. You're here to examine the body as well. My dear colleague, I do hope you haven't touched it yet. I haven't. Is there a problem? Simon's body, wherever it is, poses a dire threat. I suspect he has died of a contagious disease. Are you sure? Well, it doesn't matter anyway. If it's that thing again. What do you think it is? Judging from what I found so far, it could be Febris typhoidea, or plague. I suspect Yersinia pestis, or something not too dissimilar. What can these steps be a home to? I used to remember what each of these things actually were. I mean, these are nevertheless, I think, fictionalized versions of these diseases. But I think Yersinia is a real strain of a bacterium of some form. I will look it up. Anyway. I don't believe it. A second outbreak. Wait a second, I need to regain my senses. Are you sure about this? Do you mean what you say? I am, and I do. If it's the sand plague... my master's death is so untimely. If it's the sand plague, we only have a few more days to live. You see, I have no idea how to stop it. No one does. So you're already familiar with the disease. I'm only making assumptions. I don't want to believe this. I'd rather have any other plague than this. We have no time to waste. The body must be inspected, isolated, destroyed if necessary. We must take protective measures for that, of course. We need your diagnosis before we can provide reasonable protection. At the moment, you can only buy yellow immunity boosters at the drugstores. They are no good. But I'll try to do something about this. We need to take some remedies from Master's old workplace. Did you know he was murdered by his son? What an atrocity. His son has nothing to do with this. I presume Isadora was infected by Simon and died of the same disease, or vice versa. Look, let us not waste any more time. You're right. Let's make haste. I'll get everything ready for the examination. Meanwhile, let's arrange for the body to be isolated. Kane is keeping it at a holding place. I'll keep you informed. If we act deliberately and with a calm mind, we can prevent this epidemic. Stay strong. I won't leave you on your own. We have identified the killer, and although we've yet to apprehend him... Well, him? It's a plague, come on. Although we've yet to apprehend it. Ruben will collect the necessary equipment to protect him as he works with the bodies. In the meantime, I should inform Georgi Kane of what's the primary investigation has shown. The reason I think it's Georgi's, I think it's very akin to Grigori, but I could be wrong in that. Please feel free to correct me. Hello.
I feel almost nothing.
I have been told of your initial verdict. You assert that Simon Kane was not killed by a human or a Shabnak demon, but died of a natural cause, or succumbed to some physical illness. Is that what you were saying? I wouldn't say he died naturally. He died of a mysterious disease. Microbes are more efficient killers than demons. Is this a hypothesis or a fact supported by evidence? A hypothesis. Mere hypotheses are not something I am willing to accept. Furthermore, the same rhetoric is widely employed by the people who want to hinder the murder investigation at any cost. The same people are spreading false rumors of civil disorder, which, as they would have it, took over the town. The same people would happily sacrifice human life to maintain a semblance of order. What would you say to that? I'd say they are right. I would rather say otherwise. The whole narrative is much too convenient for those covering the murder. The murderer knew how to take Simon's life and keeps that secret to themselves. What if they do not stop at that? What if there is no murderer? Who are you trying to catch? Till the very last moment, I will hope that the murderer does exist. I'm not trying to disabuse you of your opinion. However, if you're right, That is a death sentence for us all. Look for the murderer as long as you can. Sure, let us all go looking for a coin or a street lamp just because there's more light that way. Is that what you want? Yes, something that was brought into light does not necessarily equal something studied in depth. Not everything that has been lit with a torch has been examined. We are counting on your perspicacity. Find a rational solution to the problem that we would have otherwise approached intuitively. He who is mute can see. He who is blind can scream. Ignorantia non est argumentum.
So the Saburovs have offered patronage to some changeling.
Fuck it. It's a proven fact. What is this proof then? Show me the body, Judge, and you will have it. The body is in the focus of the crucible. You cannot examine it now, and I mean that is technically impossible. No one may see the body before a certain period of time passes. Neither Master Ruben, nor you, my dear Bachelor, not even myself. And what exactly am I supposed to do until then? What can I ask of you now? You've come to a conclusion already, have you not? If you haven't, then I urge you to seek out the facts as relentlessly as we do. May Providence help us, if you are right. All right. Let's wait for that period of time to pass. The initial findings suggest that Simon Kane was killed by a highly contagious disease. It seems I will not be the first to meet the killer. Dr. Ruben has better chances at that. I just cannot help but think that if that were Katerina's prophecy to come true, it would have made the situation even more convoluted than it already is. That, again, doesn't really leave me very many leads to go on. I believe, though, that the star 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 at the end means that the quest is complete for the day. Although, if I'm honest, my memory is a little bit hazy about it all. We've got time to do a few other things in the day, though. I think we need to collect a reward. Although I might have locked myself out of a reward there, which would be intensely frustrating. I might be able to actually go and speak to Anna Angel properly. But first, let's speak to Eva. I do so hope that she will still give me the crest reward.
I'm having chest pain.
That ominous singing outside the window was gnawing at me. Who could be singing at a time like this? Tell me, Eva, what are the ruins outside your window? Is that the stairway to heaven? I can't unthink of the song now, thank you. It's on the other side of the guzzle. This ruin is the one that's close to the theatre. Looks better from the second floor. What are these ruins? They look ancient, but the construction's recent. Oh, that's an old dream of the Stomatons. They are architects, you know. They wanted to overcome the force of gravity. These ruins were kind of an attempt to do so. They were built by Peter Stomaton. By the Peter Stomaton? Should be by the great Peter Stomaton, I guess. Can you imagine? They still live here. They haven't gone back home to the capital. Who are they? I think I've heard the name. Could you please tell me if it's not too long a story? It'll take as long as you want it to, although one can talk about them for hours. Where should I start? They are brilliant architects. They built something famous in the capital. That 3-story garden of frozen springs. Does it ring a bell? Really? They died, didn't they? No, they moved here to build the polyhedron and have been living here since then. It's been almost 10 years now. They stayed for Mistress Nina. The polyhedron is that tower on the other side of the river, right? Yeah, the new quarter. The spectacular tower, they call it. Do you like it? How does it stand? How is it supported? I have no idea. That's the mystery. Everyone says it's impossible. A miracle. Yes, a real miracle. The only miracle of all that I've seen. The only miracle so real you can touch it with your hand. Well, besides you, of course. Oh, flirtations. Okay. I only wanted to know more about the ruins. I need them as a reference point.
I've seen the angel.
Ah, she won't give me any quest reward. I fucked it up. I fucked it up. Oh well, so we've now been cheated out of a supply of gold because I slightly mistimed the way I was doing the quests. This, by mistimed, I mean I didn't kill someone. There was no real reason that I should have known to go back to Eva to initiate the quest not to kill the butcher. Sometimes Pathologic does do things like that, and it is a little bit frustrating. At least it's a clear day, for now. So, you know, I suppose that's something. I can still talk to Lara, though. Imagine she'll want to chat to me about that powder, which I'm not going to give her. I don't want to lose it. Hello there. She has a lockpick. Lockpicks open locked doors, but they only open one locked door. One use only items. A bit frustrating, but there you go. There you have it. So, onwards we have to continue. This is still day 1, so there is no plague yet. However, I'm expecting it to arrive fairly soon. Hello. Will you be able to trade me something better? Not really, no. Oh well, let's go bin raking. Bin raking is a surprisingly efficient economy in this game. And really, to be honest, it's the only way that you make a decent living. What I'm running outside at the moment is the theatre, which is owned by Mr. Mark Immortal, or Immortel, as he's written down. He is an interesting character, and more than likely a little bit insane. There are several levels of potential meta in this game. Theatre is part of that, as we saw at the very, very beginning of the game. The characters are effectively taking part in a stage play in many ways. After all, I am a character. I am playing this character. Literally. And the game riffs off of that a little bit, and the idea of how the theatre is used, which, again, I'll show more detail a bit later on. Once more, nothing useful. At least not yet. So, let's save. Another hour passes. Oof, Jesus.
No. A town like this can't give birth to a killer.
I'm keeping the powders for myself, I'm afraid. They are exceptionally useful, and while she would have given me a hefty sum of gold to throw it into the fire, I can't part with it. I have a feeling that they will come in handy later, and by God they will. So, I'm gonna go visit Yulia again and see if she'll tell me a little bit more about what's been going on. Bin raking. Sometimes it's useful, sometimes it doesn't actually turn up anything at all. So the town is relatively small, and mostly fenced in. Nothing. So the actual area of play is fairly limited. You can walk south off the map into the steppes. And indeed, as the Harrisbecks, that is something that you do quite often, but I don't actually know how far you can get. I've never walked too far from the town. The Bachelor, of course, has no need to leave the town.
My chest seems to be filled with cotton wool.
So, you've travelled all the way here, only to find that both people you wanted to see were brutally murdered. Is this how the story goes? I do hope that your visit is not in any way related to those most unfortunate circumstances. Do you like Eva Jan? Very much. It wouldn't be much of a stretch to say I absolutely admire her. Yeah, same here.
My chest seems to be filled with cotton wool.
Sure she has
This
something more
girl is
useful.
a chain.
Perhaps she doesn't have anything more useful for me. Well, those are those quests essentially all done. And we will now have to wait for the next day to pass before getting any more useful quests. Nevertheless, I'm convinced that there was something that goes on in the house of Anna Angel this fine morning, or at least on day 1. But I can't find what it is. At least not yet. I'll have one more brief visit to her. And if I can't find anything on that visit, then, well, then I'll give up. Right. So the smallest ones have potentially the most valuable trade items, but often they don't. Often they don't. It's always a good idea to have a little bit of a surplus of various items in stock. Oh, you little asshole, come back. Drugs, but nothing that I want. Why a bunch of kids are running around with Meridorm, which is an opiate-based sleeping draft. Fictional opiate-based sleeping draft. I'm not entirely sure. Where are your parents? The eternal question of the game. I suppose as the game progresses, it does become increasingly obvious where all the orphans are coming from. However, at this point in time, there are certainly a lot of orphans about, or at least unsupervised children. As much as I could use a stiff drink, we are going to ignore the pub for the moment. We will return there at some point soon. Nothing in there. So Anna Angel is one of the more interesting characters in the game, though not a lot of her backstory is ever really revealed. Nope, no blood on the floor. No blood on the floor. She has nothing new to say, I'm sure.
I used to sing every evening.
Well, she doesn't actually have a lot of useful information for me. Okay, well, at this point, there's not really very much else to do on day 1. Day 1 is now effectively completed. I might, in which case, pause this episode for now, and see if I can let the Bachelor get some rest. Shall bid the eulogy. Until next time.